Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB, Zack Brown, and joining with me is former 410 Sprint Car crew chief and mechanic, my dad, Jeff Brown. We are in studio right now. We just got back from Indianapolis watching the Indy 500. We're going to recap that, talk about the rain-shortened Coca-Cola 600 and how Larson kind of got screwed out of racing both races, get into the previewing at Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway, and talk about some sprint car action that happened the weekend and previewing some NHRA. So a lot to talk about. We just got back from the Indy 500. It was a really spectacular race. The pageantry, it was delayed for a couple hours, but it wasn't the apocalyptic weather that they talked about. So luckily we were good there. It was a lot of fun. I very much enjoyed it. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you guys do a phenomenal job preparing for a race, making sure the fans have everything they need. You put on such a great show. We got there at 6 a.m., gates open, they fired up fireworks, they had stuff already going in action, they had people jump parachuting off, stuntmen, everything is happening. So a lot of excitement was at Indy 500, and obviously Joseph Newgarden gets a last lap pass to get his second back-to-back Indy 500, first time since Elio in 2001.
Yeah, with a $440,000 bonus for being the back-to-back winner. Yep. And which we were talking, he gets screwed now because that bonus goes down to $20,000. So if he wins three in a row, would be an unheard of feat.
Yeah.
And he would only get a $20,000 bonus. Only $20,000. Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing seeing how hard these drivers run it. And big shout out to Kyle Larson. Yes, he had his pit road speeding penalty. That was actually his only first one ever they had to do under green to slow down pit road in IndyCar. Sped on pit road, caught that penalty. He was running top 5, top 10 all day. I think he would have had a solid top 5. It would have been hard to beat those guys for the win. They were really, really running it hard, and Newgarden knew where to meet somebody, where to make the right passes. You can see Pato doesn't quite have all of that experience to finish off a race. He gets second consistently, but Joseph knows how to get the win. He went for it. And obviously, Patrick was at the losing end and gets second once again. But yeah, shout out to Kyle Larson, 18th place, but he was running up for all day. He was really hard on himself. But I was really glad to see that he stuck with the Indy 500. I think pretty much everybody understood that he should have ran the Indy 500. As much work as they put in, as much money as they put in, as hard work as he's put in, and dedication for that. So I was really, obviously, we were happy to see him there. Hopefully he does it again next year. I think he will, and with that rain coming in the afternoon for the Indy 500, obviously delayed him to go to the 600. But big shout out. I think that was really impressive overall what he was doing.
Yeah, I mean he had one early in the beginning on the restart. We couldn't see what happened where we were in turn 4 exactly, but he got out of the gas, lost a bunch of spots, and he was smart. Instead of putting himself in a bad position, gets out of gas, regroup, and then he worked his way back. The car was probably faster than he was, to be quite honest. I think his main goal was to finish all 200 laps. He definitely on the, and I don't know how much of with the weather, I don't know how much green flag pit stops they may have practiced, and I'm sure race conditions, adrenaline pumping. You're hauling it in there and be like, all right, if I get a good stop, I can gain a spot on pit road. And he went in and just, he locked their right front up going down pit road and, got nabbed for speeding. So that killed him. But with strategy, he did end up leading, I think, 4 laps.
Yep.
Not everybody can say you got to lead the Indy 500, even though it was, pit cycles.
Yeah.
But, the car was good. If you have one race you want to go see the Indy 500. They did a great job as far as people, I mean, just everywhere. The place, I've never seen so many people. There's 300-some thousand people. Over in turn 4 in the infield, they have what's called the snake pit. It's a stage, a DJ. Fireworks are going off. I mean, this is going off for the whole first 3/4 of the race.
Yep.
I mean, just the whole thing is thumping. I don't think those people have any idea the race was going on.
I think they were having a good time, and it was really cool. Alan Bessel was one of the announcers on the in-track experience, and that And we talked about it on the show before that Alabama.
He's one of our favorites.
He's done such a really good job, and both, I don't know who the other the color commentator was with him, but they both did a fantastic job. And you could hear very well at the track. It wasn't a big deal. Like NASCAR tracks, sometimes the speakers just suck and you can't hear what's going on. It helps that the cars aren't nearly as loud as the NASCARs. Obviously, not as loud as drag racing. It wasn't nearly as loud as I expected, but you better be ready to figure out where your driver's running when he gets off of turn 4, because otherwise, if you're not focusing on it, they go right by you in a blink of an eye. But it was really exciting where we were right off turn 4. Nothing happened, of course, because why would anybody crash off turn 4? But we started off the race, and literally lap 1, turn 1, they crashed, and we're like, oh, we're going to be in for a race now. There's going to be some cautions by us, and that never happened. But plenty of cautions, enough to mix it up, and there was a lot of excitement towards the end. Almost par for the course for the last few Indy 500s. They've been very good. Nobody really gets away. There were passes back and forth. It was really awesome to see.
Yeah, and it's funny. You go to NASCAR races. There's always somebody that's going to get booed. Usually a couple people, Denny Hamlin. But in IndyCar, they're driving. Everybody cheers for everybody. If they're from Indiana, they get huge cheers. And just everybody else. Kyle Larson by far was the most popular driver there. Not 100%. Even, they were smart because he's bringing NASCAR exposure fans probably to IndyCar that may or may not pay that much attention to it. Like, we've never been before, and one of the main reasons we went is to see him run the car. So, that, and then you may even get the opposite way where you get the IndyCar guys be like, hey, I want to go watch Kyle Larson run the stock car now. Yep. So that's really cool. But, what an awesome thing. Thunderbirds fly over.
That was awesome.
We had the Army Golden Knights parachute team coming in with the American flag. It was the Red Bull parachute team in the morning. It was just barely light out, had sparklers coming off the parachutes. That was cool. Music playing, fireworks.
They definitely entertained the fans there, and it was a just phenomenal at-track experience, and you don't get that anywhere else.
They do it better than NASCAR. And even we were parked, we left the track, got to the truck, back to our hotel in Carmel, which is in an hour. I mean, it was not even difficult. If it wasn't for the drunks walking in front of us and wouldn't get the hell out of the way, we'd probably been another 10, 15 minutes quicker.
Yeah, in fact, we had to pee, too, on the way and stuff for a pee break. But, NASCAR, take some notes of what IndyCar did. They got the track ready definitely within an hour and a half, like they said they could. Yeah. Those Air Titans are spectacular, and they went green flag 445, and they got the entire 500 in, and I'm just very glad. Now we get to do this show real quick on Monday, Memorial Day. So shout out to all that have served, all those who do serve. We appreciate all of you. Shout out Michael. He's not listening to us right now, but he's in the middle of probably the wilderness or somewhere training. Yeah. But so that obviously this day is and this whole weekend is way bigger than just racing. But what a great way to celebrate everybody, all Americans. Even though Indy 500 has a lot of worldwide people, but it's a major weekend, and I thought it was incredible, and we'll go back to the 600 at some point, and so it kind of transitions nicely into what we kind of saw at the 600. We got to catch the last little bit of it before it started raining, and obviously Kyle Larson was not able. He made it back, but they never went back green. So inclement weather at both tracks, and this happened in the latter half of the Coca-Cola 600. From what I was able to see, there was a lot of passing, a lot of banging against the wall. I think a lot of people were racing harder because they saw the weather coming. And Christopher Bell is the one that is able to luck out with the weather, because I think Brad Keselowski was the fastest towards the end of where they had. Keselowski was catching him, and he's got it going on right now. So Christopher Bell gets the credit with the Coca-Cola 600. They did not make it 600 miles, obviously, but a lot of people, the biggest news is they're bitching and complaining about the weather, NASCAR calling it too early. Well, here's the thing. They, at best, could have got their track dried and been ready to go at 11 o'clock. But you also got to think, they probably had another 2 hours of racing. There was another 150 laps. That's a long time to go in Charlotte. And that's not counting people wrecking. They also have to look at the lightning radar too. Also, you got to think about the people that are working at the track that got there probably 6, 7 in the morning. And this race will probably go to 1, maybe 2 in the morning. You also got to think about the first responders that have been there since 10 o'clock. There's a lot of factors that NASCAR has to go into. It's more than just having the damn track dry. There's a lot of things that go to there. And they were like, well, why don't you postpone it to Monday? That's not how it works. You make it over 200 laps or over halfway, that's an official race. So
it's in the rule book.
And just because your driver didn't win, just because you wanted to see Larson race, and obviously we did too, but I definitely understand on the perspective of common sense, and I think that actually NASCAR made a right call. Not all of us agree with what NASCAR says. I definitely don't agree with what NASCAR always does, but I do agree with that decision.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just it's more to it. Unfortunately, yes, it's for the race fans, but sometimes safety and everything else. At some point, you just gotta take your losses for what they are and move on. But shout out to Justin Allgaier filling in for Larson. Ironically, that's a pretty big seat to fill. Larson's a little guy, but he ran in top 15 pretty much all day, and he said the car's great. He said Larson gets in this car, he's going to absolutely fly. So good job for him bringing that home, and he probably gained a lot more fans than he already had from Xfinity just from doing that. But nice to see him get tagged for that. I don't know who else you would pick that's even similar in size that would make it easy without really changing. Like you couldn't. Like Harvick's a lot taller than Larson,
and he has an idea of how these Hendrick cars race as it is too, and he knows how the organization runs, being at Junior Motorsports too. So big time. I think he got 13th was the official finish for him. So great job on him. There was such a diverse manufacturers in the 600. You saw obviously Toyota win. You saw a Ford get second. There was a Chevy that got third, and there was sprinkled in Chevys.
Yeah, that's about what you can ask for.
Yeah, and I think everybody's starting to get the 1.5 mile program figured out, and this is another race that the 1.5 mile package on these cars proved that it was great. So we'll see what happens in the future, especially at Charlotte. If they're going to decide to get rid of the Roval, which a lot of people are really hoping for, we'll see that. Roval's probably last year, and possibly go to Charlotte twice next year on the Oval, or just back it down to just the 600. We'll see. Another sold-out crowd at the 600, so that's definitely big time for NASCAR and their ratings, at least at the track. Let's start previewing what's coming up this week. We actually kind of got away from what we wanted to preview in IndyCar, so we'll preview IndyCar in a second. We're still going to be on NASCAR right now. So they're going to the Worldwide Technologies Raceway, Gateway, whatever you want to call it. This is the track that a lot of people wanted them to go to a few years ago. NASCAR made the change, and these cars do pretty decent there. I think you'll see an all-right race. It's not necessarily a short track. It is a mile
and a quarter.
Yeah, so it's not exactly the short track package, so I think you'll see a fairly decent race in this one, better than the short tracks you usually see. Flat track kind of races like New Hampshire, if you want to take any similarities. But before we do all that, you want to talk about the strategies and everything you would have to go through setting up the car for this track. Let's go into our power rankings this week, and I'll give you my 5. I'm dropping down to number 5 just because he didn't make it to the Coca-Cola 600, but I'm not going to take him out of the entire power rankings. I've got Kyle Larson at number 5. At number 4, I do have William Byron, had a very strong running at the Coca-Cola 600. Actually, all the Hendricks do. So Byron number 4. At number 3, I have Chase Elliott. Had a very solid finish at the 600 as well, and actually won the Xfinity race. So shout out to him, and I actually shout out to Nick Sanchez winning the truck race too. And number 2 in my power rankings, I've got Brad Keselowski. He is on a tear right now. He is rolling, backing up a win with a second place finish, and very well was in contention to win that Coca-Cola 600. So he's number 2. Number 1, obviously, if Larson drops down that far, I've moved up Denny Hamlin back to my number 1. He is showing consistency week in and week out, and probably one of the favorites to end up winning Gateway based on the packages that they've run this year already.
Yeah, true. Our power rankings are pretty close. I'm not at home, I don't have my notes, so I don't have what I had last week. But at number 5, he was the race winner. Got to put him in there somewhere, so somebody had to go. So I got Christopher Bell at number 5. At number 4, I don't remember where I had him last week, but I do have William Byron at number 4. I had dropped Larson down from 2 to 3. Like I said, it's you can't fault him for we don't know how he's going to run, so you got to leave him in there. At 2, got Brad Keselowski. Like you said, he's got that win, so he's already locked in. So he is running the shit out of that thing. And number 1, he's been Mr. Consistency all year, and he's probably now with Larson missing that race, he's probably going to win the regular season championship. So I got Denny Hamlin at number 1.
Yeah, well, the way Brad's running, I mean, if he stays consistent, he might take a damn regular season.
Well, it's possible.
And don't count Larson out just yet. He'd knock off a couple wins, and then he has a bad race somewhere. I mean, he could very well come back. I mean, I don't really think he fell too far in the standings.
Well, you can only lose 40 some points.
I doubt he fell really far.
This episode is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a live entertainment platform rethinking ticketing by caring more about their fans, teams, and venues. They are powering a new open entertainment industries where fans have effortless access to experiences in teams, venues, and shows, and have seamless access to their audiences. With trusted consumer marketplace and innovative enterprise ticketing technology, SeatGeek has what you need for any sporting event. Make sure you use my promo code ZBMedia to get $20 off your purchase from SeatGeek. That is ZBMEDIA from SeatGeek, $20 off. You can't beat that. Check them out now. Get your next concert, sporting event, or anything else from SeatGeek. Back to the show.
All right, so Worldwide Technology Raceway, you already talked about it's a mile and a quarter. We talked about it being a little bit flat. How do you expect the short track package on this car to race at this track? Do you think it's going to race more of a short track, or do you think it's going to be more of an intermediate track, kind of like Phoenix, or how do you think that's going to go?
Yeah, you said about New Hampshire, and that's probably pretty close. Phoenix would be a good bet on it, how it is. The track's kind of funny. It's a mile and a quarter. It's pretty flat. It's 11 degrees in turns 1 and 2. 9 degrees in 3 and 4, but it's shaped a little bit like Darlington. It's a 1 and 2's got a much wider corner and much, well, not much more, 2 degrees more banking, and then 3 and 4 is a tighter corner and a lot flatter. So it's, you're not going to have your car handle good in both corners.
Yeah.
In my mind, and this is just my opinion, I think if you can get through the tighter, flatter corner better at 3 and 4 and hold your own in 1 and 2, I think that's the way to go. You get through 3 and 4, you're going to carry the momentum down the front straight away, and it'll probably get you through. So if you're good in 1 and 2 and suck at 3 and 4, I think you're really going to be in trouble.
Yeah. And this is an afternoon race, so it's a lot different than what you ran at the Coke 600. It's probably going to, like less inclement weather. They do have lights if something were to happen, I believe. And so if something were to delay it, they'll be able to race under the lights. But right now, you're likely going to see a hotter, slicker racetrack, and it won't be as hot and slick as like Phoenix. But yeah, I think you have a similar setup, and if you had some confidence at Phoenix, this could be another look at possibly getting ready for the Championship 4 when you're looking ahead at the season. Truck Series are there. Xfinity's off this week, so let's give our picks for Gateway. Let's go with the Truck Series. The winner of last week, Nick Sanchez. Obviously, you're a week premature on Nick Sanchez. So
sounds about right.
Let's give your Truck Series pick. And we were talking about there's probably about 4 or 5 guys that could really win in the Truck Series. It looks like right now.
Yeah, it seems you could see the top. I guess they're probably the top 4 or 5 in points that are really starting to separate themselves from the rest of the field. So this guy was disqualified. So okay, we did not look at each other's notes.
No,
so
I did this for a reason.
I got Corey Heim winning the trucks.
I got Corey Heim as well. He was disqualified because of loose lug nuts. I think they found 3 loose lug nuts on a tire. So obviously he's DQ'd. He was second place finish. So he's going to look for a little bit of redemption, run a little bit harder, and hopefully he bounces back.
That seems a little severe of a penalty in my opinion.
I think it's post-race inspection. That's how it's supposed to. That's how the rules are. That's how it would be. I
don't know. It just seems like that's it's sometimes if he had 3 loose lug nuts, he only had 2 tight.
I feel like it should have been more of like a fine and a suspension to like the crew chief.
Yeah, or penalize a couple spots, or because that thing was probably vibrating like hell if it only had 2 tight. So it was already hurting himself by not having them all tight.
Well, it's apparently in the rule books, and that's what they're going to stick to.
I get it. I just think it's a little severe.
They're likely going to try to appeal it and see if they can get those points back, but we'll see. The Cup Series, who do you have for this one? And I swear if it's the same pick.
We're going to go for Mr. 1100. I got Kyle Larson on this one.
Are you kidding me? Okay.
No.
Well,
he's pissed off at himself. The car was fast this week at Charlotte. I think it's going to continue to be fast.
I hate this every single. Well,
hey, great minds.
We'll post.
So right off the bat, Larson, I'm sorry.
Yeah, now you're definitely going to be blowing a tire, lug that falling off, the aliens abduct you or something. Mom picked Kyle Busch for this weekend. By
That's
the way,
right.
anybody wondering. Our fantasy lineups will be posted on the social media, so make sure you look out for that on our Instagram.
Yes, we can't do that till
Facebook.
tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, so when that gets released, we're recording this on Memorial Day, obviously. So that's cool. IndyCar. So we just talked about the Indianapolis 500. So they are heading to a completely different type of racing. Not even technically a track. It is the streets of Detroit. A lot of excitement last year, a lot of late lap passes, and it looks like it's a tight turn 1. So that's where you want to make your initial pass, and if you can make it stick, you can work it. If you can't, you'll probably end up like the first person in the first turn, you're on the back of their wing.
Yeah, it's about as opposite, I think, as you're going to get from the Indianapolis 500. So, it's a 1.645 mile, 10 turn. It's very tight, very narrow street course. It looks rough to me, just seeing the way those cars just seem to bounce around. So, you could see some braking issues if you hit the bumps just the wrong way and maybe not brake when you want to get into the guy in front of you. So it could actually be pretty interesting. Normally the races kind of get strung out, but this one seems like it's tight enough that if you're ballsy enough, you can probably run up on some of these guys, and there's 2 or 3 looks like pretty good passing zones that you haul it in there and get under those guys and get them out of the way. They're not afraid to bang. They were banging wheels at 220 mile an hour. They're not afraid to do it going 80 into a corner.
They've already shown what they could do at the streets of Long Beach. Had a pretty exciting race there this year already, and they're going to pass
St.
a lot.
Pete was okay.
Yeah, they're going to pass a lot more than the Formula One did at Monaco, which was the complete snooze fest. I watched some of it, but nothing changed from the beginning to the end except that one guy that wrecked, and they brought a crane out and pulled him off the track.
That was the highlight of the race.
Yeah, exactly. So, and they just conserve tires the whole time. You're not going to see that type of racing here at Detroit with the Indy cars, and hopefully you'll luck out with a little bit of weather too, and then you can.
That really makes it interesting.
So
now last year they were having, I don't know if they had 3 compounds of tires, because they had a green, a red, and then the primary. So that green tire apparently was like really soft.
Yeah.
So we're not up on all the IndyCar rules and how they have the different tire packages.
Well, definitely comment if you do know a little bit how these packages, the compounds work for the tires, and that'll kind of help out everybody listening to us. But yeah, that's going to come into effect. Strategy is going to be a big factor. It always does in these street courses.
It could come down to pit strategies, how many stops you do,
fuel
mileage.
You got to qualify well though. You got to be probably at least top 10 at the very last.
Yeah, I was going to say 6.
So at the very least, that much. So lots of players in this one. Lots of them that they're not the best on road courses, street courses, and they're very like Joseph Newgarden. He's very, very much the one that races well at ovals. He's decent at street and road courses, but he's known for the ovals. But we'll see what the Indy 500 champion can do. But who's your pick for the streets of Detroit?
Well, this one, like the Indy 500 was dominated by Chevrolet. Yeah, you know we got the same pick. So this is a Honda. Alex Palou.
Okay, thank God. I did not. This is actually a Honda as well, and he showed speed last year at Detroit. He showed speed everywhere. He's the most experienced. Well,
oh, okay, I know who you got.
Arguably the most experienced driver. 6-time champion. I've got Scott Dixon for this one. Thank God.
Dixon was very popular in the stands.
Yes.
When he was running up front, there was a lot of cheers for Scott Dixon.
And a lot of McLaren fans in general too. Pato, I think a lot of people wanted him to win because he never won. People like to see first-time winners, but I mean Joseph was definitely a popular win too. He jumps out of the crowd.
Like I said, they don't hate anybody.
No,
so
there was nobody
cool.
booed. So, all right. Well, let's get into NHRA previewing this week. They are up in the Northeast and
Epping, New Hampshire.
Yeah. New Hampshire. So talk about this track. This is going to be the first time they really go anywhere that have likely cooler temperatures, the lowest elevation they're going to have.
Yeah, I was looking up the track. It's only 90 feet above sea level, so air is going to be, depending on the atmospheric weather, if it's relatively low humidity and that low, the density altitude's probably only going to be 1,000 feet density altitude or something like that. So those things are going to make a ton of power, especially the naturally aspirated. So we don't have the motorcycles, just the pro stock cars. So they're definitely, it affects those more than the ones with the blower. They can obviously change, blower speeds, compression ratios, things like that. But the pro stock cars are probably going to be super fast on this one, and this is one of the driver favorite tracks. They like going to New Hampshire for that race. So they don't really tell you about the track surface a lot. Is it the whole way? Some of them are partially concrete, some are concrete the whole way. So I don't really know any of the characteristics. I wish they would kind of give a little more background on that. But the drag racing's been. You don't know who's going to win these things.
Besides the motorcycle.
Yeah, motorcycle. That's a joke. I mean, they hate to have NHRA penalize one guy just because he wins everything, but they got to bolt another 20 pounds on him or something like that.
That's what they did with Eddie Craywick back in the day, and the Harleys. That's what they had to do, and they still kept winning. I don't know what they're going to be.
The problem is his teammate. It would be so bad if his teammate they were 1 and 2 and real close.
I think
it is Eddie Craywick. There's also they have one other one. I don't remember the guy's name. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I mean, he's just 0.02 of a second faster than everybody at minimum.
Yeah.
So, but So anyway, we'll get on our picks for. So we have the
Pro Stock, Funny Car, and Top Fuel in New Hampshire this weekend. So
go ahead. I didn't write down my picks on that one. So go ahead and do that one.
Well, as he's writing his picks, probably gonna end up being the same ones that I'm picking anyways, because why not? But Pro Stock, I've got her coming back on top. That sounded like I should have said that better. But I've got Erica Enders winning the Pro Stock race. For Funny Car, he just came up short a couple weeks ago. I've got John Force for Funny Car. And for Top Fuel, I like to see him get back at it. I've got Doug Coletta, the defending series champion.
Okay. Yeah. We actually do have different ones on this one.
Boom!
So I was actually thinking about Erica.
Hush.
But
go with your gut.
Yeah. So we're here in North Carolina. Got the Mooresville guy. I got Greg Anderson for Pro Stock. You picked John Force for Funny Car. I got his teammate, Austin Prock, for Funny Car. And this guy, I keep picking him. He lets me down. Steve, you got to suck it up. Do better. I got Steve Torrance winning Top Fuel.
All right. I'll talk about our picks in dirt racing here in a second. We're getting to our dirt racing segment, but obviously this episode is brought to you by my longtime partner of this program, W Energy. They've finally released cans. I got them on the way, so the next show I'll show you guys. But shout out to W. I'm going to make my drink right now because I am thirsty. This is their Hydro Series, and you can get any of their stuff. You can use my discount code ZBHP. You'll get 10% off your order, which essentially means you're going to get a free shipping. So it's actually really not a bad deal. This will last me a couple damn months if you see me drinking it, because I alternate the stuff. So they also have deals too when you get these free. So definitely check them out. The discount code is going to be on the screen for you. So check them out, w.gg, use my discount code ZBHP, and then their cans, they're sold out right now, but they will be back in production, so definitely support them. It's a local business in the United States. Definitely worth trying. It's actually legitimately good tasting stuff. Let's head into our dirt racing segment, High Limit. The only race they got in this past weekend at Port Royal was Sunday, but that was the big one, $75,000 Weikert Memorial. And the Weikert 29 is back in victory lane, taking the $75,000. people are going to say it's rigged. Yes, that makes sense. People are going to say that all the time. But he did run the ever-living hell out of that car. It was a very good race. I actually thought Rico had a chance towards the end to make some moves up through the field. But the track looked phenomenal.
Yeah. It's supposed to be Saturday and Sunday race. Saturday rained out, heavy rains. But, Port Royal has probably got the best surface in Pennsylvania right now.
Looks good.
That track, it had a bottom, it had a middle, and by being at the top, the wall was the top. And
Anthony Macri was using
Macri's on it. Devin Borden, who led a lot of the race in the beginning, started on the pole, led a lot of that, banging it off the wall. He did get a flat, or the tire was leaking under the red flag. I know
Corey Day, he did the same thing.
So but they tried patching it. I don't remember if Devin Borden stopped because of the flat tire. But Danny Dietrich qualified well. He started third or fourth, in the thing.
He knows how to race that track.
And he wasn't the one up on the wall, so he was on the bottom. Tyler Courtney was fast. He was going through the middle,
bottom, top. He was doing all the corners.
Rico might have won that race for Danny Dietrich by putting that right there. A couple laps to go, he got one with running with Sunshine there and put the slider on him, and then that opened up 10, 12 car lengths for Danny Dietrich. Yeah. So but cool to see the Weichert 29 back in victory lane. I work for Bob, so that's a nice thing. But Posse winning the 75,000. I'm sure that's got to be the biggest win for Danny Dietrich.
That was pretty popular. It's the biggest payout that Port Royal has ever had. So
and they had a huge crowd.
Well, yeah.
And you have to. You're gonna pay the $75,000.
Yeah, and
but big crowd.
Shockingly, that
awesome trophy with the bullhead.
Yeah, that's a pretty damn cool trophy. The shocking thing of this race is Brad Sweet was not a contender.
No, he was horrible.
And David Gravel actually was there. He wasn't a contender really. He wasn't that fast. Lucas Schuhart for a little while was
okay.
He kind of fell off a little bit, but it really came down to Sunshine and Danny, and then obviously Rico was making up some ground. And obviously, you said Rico killed all that momentum when he was going after Courtney, and that was pretty much it. So exciting race, and we're actually going to preview another PA track here coming up. It actually is on Tuesday, so tomorrow from when we're recording this. And this is I think it's the midweek money series. I think
this was $20,000 to win,
and it's and $20,000. It's at Grand View, and this is this is becoming a more and more popular track. The high limit drivers really enjoy this track, and it was at risk of shutting down a couple years ago, and now it's one of the premier tracks on their schedule.
Yeah, it's a neat track. It's kind of shaped a little different. They normally run modifieds on it, but it's not like the New York tracks where it's like really super wide for those things. And but the sprint cars fly around that track. It normally has a good racing surface. It can kind of get one lane depending on how the weather and the track gets. So, but I've also seen it where it's you can definitely wheel around the top, wheel it around the bottom, and the corners are different shapes. So it's sort of like we were talking about. You're going to be good in one corner, you might not be quite as good in the other corner. The high limit coming. It's in more eastern Pennsylvania, and so you're gonna get the fans coming in. Probably from New Jersey,
Maryland, Delaware.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be a huge crowd for them. I'm going to guess Kyle Larson is probably going to be in here for this one.
I'd be shocked if he wasn't, and actually he might even be.
Because therapy for screwing up an Indy.
Go race
the hell
out of that car.
Yep, go race.
All right, well, let's get into our pick for Grandview. Who do you got for Grandview in the midweek money?
Oh crap! I didn't pick that one.
Go ahead with my pick then. I've actually got the.
Oh, I do have. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I got Rico Aber for this one. He had a lot of momentum at Port, and he's building up momentum, getting a win a couple weeks ago. I like Rico to continue his little bit of a run here.
I picked Corey Day on this one, and this
This would be impressive. I think.
Well, I was going to say this is kind of a stretch pick for being.
Yeah, but he
is a hell of a racer, and I think having trouble. I think he's going to.
He came to Port and he was running up front until he got that flat tire. He's never been to Port before. I think he'll figure it out.
Yeah. I think they said before that he'd only ever made one lap at Port Royal and got into a crash or something like that. So, yeah, I got Corey Day for Grandview.
Sounds good. Now this weekend coming up, they've got Butler and then Davenport. So talk about those tracks.
Lawrenceburg.
And Lawrenceburg. Lawrenceburg, Butler, Davenport. Yeah, 3 races coming up. Davenport is next week technically. So Lawrenceburg's go over this one first.
Yeah, so this one's in Lawrenceburg. I'm assuming it's Indiana.
It is Indiana.
So it's a 3/8 mile high banked oval, kind of a gassers type racetrack.
Yeah,
it looks like. So we had 9 hours in the truck. Could have been doing a little more research when we were doing. So I apologize.
It's okay.
I know. So it's these are ones that are normally on the All-Star circuit, so it wouldn't surprise me to see Sunshine do well here. Zeb wise.
Potentially, Zeb's having just a bad year right now.
Zeb's struggling. Justin Peck, you can see starting to come on these tracks that they used to run a lot of time. Yeah. But for this one, I got your pick from Grandview on this one, so I got Rico Abreu.
I've got the defending winner of here. He won in the All-Stars last year, and he's had a pretty good year so far this year. I got the Aussie boot. Maybe we'll see it. James McFadden.
Oh, yeah, that's nasty.
That's a celebration. Yeah, it's nasty as hell. Butler Speedway, what do you got?
So this is in Michigan, and they labeled this one as the fastest 3/8 mile.
How many tracks put that?
Well, yeah, we just had Atomic Speedway labeled as the fastest.
I think is legitimately the fastest 3/8.
But so that's their claim to fame on this one. So this one, we were just kind of talking about him. He was running good at Port Royal. We're in these tracks, All Stars run. I got Sunshine Tyler Courtney.
So do I. All right. Well, the last one is their midweek money next week. It is at Davenport. Who do you got? I mean, what do you got for this one?
You know what? We did this one right before we came on the air. I have no idea. It's in Davenport, Iowa. Wish it was in Davenport, Florida.
Okay, so I watched it, and so what it looks like is that it's a slower, you got to be more mechanical in this. We got to be more technical. It's slower, so you have to kind of figure it out. You got to be patient. You got to know when to take your thing. I think if you can run the bottom here, that will be a significant advantage at this track. And I think you got to kind of buy your time. It's hard to say that when you have. It's probably going to be a 40 lapper if I had to guess. It's a smaller track. I think it's. Again, I think you're going to have to play by ear. I think it's similar to Fremont from what I'm seeing. So go ahead. Well, I'm going to give you my pick, who I'm thinking of kind of what's going through my mindset.
Okay.
Running the bottom, you can run the bottom, hook it up real well, and just as smooth as he is with racing this car, I've got Brad Sweet. I think he'll bounce back. He's not going to have too many bad races in a row. Just running that bottom as well as he definitely can, I think that'll be a big advantage.
You want me to change my pick?
You got Brad Sweet?
Yeah, I got Brad Sweet.
Well, that's fine. I've got a couple different picks on this one. So let's get into the World of Outlaws. They're racing as we're speaking right now at Fremont. Well, I should probably get heating the engines as we're talking. But
the race is at Atomic.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to. It used to be called KC. It's stuck in my head.
Well, we kind of passed around that area. So
yeah, we went right through Chillicothe.
What did you see at Atomic from the Outlaws?
Well, it was kind of like we were talking about. You know, they called that the fastest 3/8 mile track. I mean, it got pretty slick, but you can see the top was good, the bottom was good.
Track conditions were fantastic.
Yeah, they do a nice job on track. You're in lap traffic a lot. You know, my pick was off by a day on the first one, so we had who won the first night?
David Gravel, I believe.
Oh yeah, Gravel won the first night. Sheldon, I picked Sheldon. Sheldon won the second night.
David Gravel held off my pick for the first night, which was Carson Macedo.
But even though like the race for the lead really wasn't,
Carson had a shot at David Gravel.
They were. I mean, there was 3 or 4 cars. You know, Buddy Kofoid was in there.
I'm convinced that Gravel probably would have won the second night if he didn't wreck early on and hit the wall and he didn't go completely out of the race. I think he ended up top 10 still.
Yeah, we were watching.
Rebuilt the entire.
How fast can they change that front end? That's unreal.
The entire front end. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's unreal how they do that in a matter of 2 minutes or something like that. So yeah, he knocked the whole front end out of that thing, came back. So the car probably wasn't even handling all that good, but he salvaged what he could out of it, and that's that's what a champion does. You make what you can get out of it, and he's been slowly starting to separate himself from the rest of the field. He's probably consistently the best car.
I would definitely agree with that, unless we pick him, and which we haven't in a while.
Just for foresight. Sorry, David Gravel.
Same. But they got back-to-back nights this weekend at Beaver Dam, so they've gone here before. It's kind of like
it's a little track, 1/3 mile.
It's really weird how you don't see a lot of thirds.
No, and it's usually those small tracks are mostly corner. This one actually has straightaways on it. They're not real big, but so they do have straightaways. So it's a typical
similar Lincoln-ish type.
Yeah, it's a typical oval. It's like Lincoln, so it's just smaller. So this one of those, again, depending on car counts. People were actually complaining last week. Car counts were only like 28 cars for the Outlaws, which. They got to realize high limit was in Pennsylvania because they had 40-some cars. You got all the Pennsylvania cars going to be going for that kind of money, so they're not going to tow out to Ohio to go for that. But 28 cars,
it's still not bad.
No, that's a full field plus. So and you got all the top guys going to be there. So
all right, go with both your nights.
So first night I got Carson Macedo on the first night. I got David Gravel on the second night.
David Gravel's for sure wrecking now because I got him for night 2. But night 1, I've got Logan Schuchart. I'd like to see him.
Okay.
He runs pretty well here, so I'd like to see him bounce back here. So for sure, David Gravel, you're going to wreck. Larson, you're going to wreck. Corey Heim, you're going to wreck because we double up on this stuff. Apparently, you guys wreck. And Sheldon Creed, sorry, we both doubled up and you crashed. Will Power crashed.
Brad Sweet, you're in trouble. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. We apologize so much. We are getting back to our top 5. So our top 5s for next week. We're doing the top 5 best looking trophies in all of motorsports.
In our opinion.
No, it's the right ones.
Well, yeah, obviously, and that's NASCAR. That could really be
it's NASCAR, dirt racing, IndyCar. I mean, if you like a Formula 1, if you guys like some trophies, let us know and we'll look at
bonus for pictures because some of them we may not.
Yeah, send some pictures.
Remember
pictures. Throw some comments down below with the pictures of the trophies that you like in motorsports, and we'll see if that's even going to be on the list.
Even past trophies that maybe tracks that.
Or past championship trophies too, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. But make sure you comment on all that stuff. You got a week to do it, and make sure you like, subscribe, and all of our social media. Send it everywhere you can find your podcast, and follow the YouTube channel because I always add some memes and funny stuff on there, so it helps everybody's enjoyment. So. I think until next week, we won't be in our studio. We're back to normal action like we are. This is one of the few times we can actually do this, so we thought we'd make the best of it. So we'll see you guys then.
Yep. Bye, everybody.